Welcome to A Slob Comes Clean, the podcast. I am Dana K. White. I share my personal deslobification process. As I figure out ways to keep my own home under control, I share the truth about cleaning and organizing strategies that actually work in real life for real people who don't love cleaning and organizing. Thanks for joining me today. This is podcast number 342, and I am going to call it, the myth of consistency. Yeah. I know, right? Like, here's the thing. Consistency is how real change happens. I mean, like, everybody knows that, right? Like, oh, well, the key is consistency. Get it. I get it. I agree completely. But it can take on this mythological quality for some of us who are at a point where we're completely overwhelmed. And we hear the smart people say it's all about consistency. And you're like, okay, it's all about consistency. Okay. It's all about consistency. Got it. But the problem is when you have this huge goal of I am going to solve my house being completely disastrous, embarrassing, out of control. This is a huge goal. And I'm going to solve it. I'm going to solve it by being consistent. And you think that your goal is consistency. It's like, but I've never been consistent before, but I've only ever done fits and spurts of things. I've never been successful. And it's like, consistency isn't something I can achieve today, but I want to get started today. But I know myself and probably I'm not going to stick with it. Yeah, I mean, like, consistency isn't something I can do right now. And so many times, if we're super hyper focused on consistency as the thing that's going to change everything, because it actually is the thing that's going to change everything. But if that's our focus, then it's like we can't think of what to do today. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not focused on what I can do today because we're obsessed with I've got to be consistent, and it keeps us from actually getting started. Like, it produces this feeling of being overwhelmed and paralyzed. I can't even start because it's this goal of consistency, which I've never achieved before. And I just can't even imagine what that's going to look like. And seriously, how will just small changes make this thing any different? Okay. So it's a big goal plus your actual starting place equals overwhelm. Okay. When the goal is consistency, you can't achieve it today. Before we get into all of that though, I did want to remind you about a couple of little things that I don't want you to miss. Okay. Take Your House Back is on sale right now for $94. That is quite a bit cheaper than it is on a regular basis. So if you want to grab it right now, do that. We do have an all-day declutter that's coming up on September 10th. If you would like to participate in that, you can. You can do it live. There's amazing energy that happens when all these people all over the world are focused in on their homes in the same type of spot and the same strategies at the same time. It's just crazy energy. Anyway, a lot of people really love it. If that overwhelms you, don't worry about that because the course itself is where the value is, right? Like, there's modules where we talk you through, teach you to take your house back, what it's going to take, what to actually do, all of that kind of stuff with Dawn from Minimal Mom, Cass from Clutterbug, and me all together. We teach you all of that. And then these all-day declutters that we do every few months is just a big extra perk that a lot of people are able to make a huge amount of progress in that one day. Okay. So if you want to get in time to be able to participate in that, go right now to takeyourhouseback.com and join in the fun there with the course. Also, Get Organized HQ is coming up. My session is getting over, actually, I think it's called Busting Through Your Best Excuses. And you can watch my session for free for 24 hours after it initially airs. So if you want to join in on that and make sure that you know when my session is going to air and all that kind of stuff, go to aslobcomesclean.com/HQ, and that will be the place for you to go sign up for Get Organized HQ. Okay. So here's the thing. Consistency is the thing for the future. It's very hard for me to understand, focus, imagine that happening. Okay. And so I get flustered before I get started. What actually changes my house and what actually puts me in a place where consistency is even a possibility is doing something right now. Okay? Like, I can achieve better right now. I can't achieve consistency right now. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I can never achieve consistency if I don't do something right now. So it's like, understand that that's the goal, but my goal for today is to do my dishes. My goal for today is to grab a black trash bag and throw away trash that's on the countertops. Okay. Like, that's the goal for right now. So instead of obsessing over this, because I find so many times what I'm really thinking when I'm obsessing over this kind of thing that I want to be my goal, but it's not something I can actually accomplish right now, I'm really saying in my brain, I wish I was different than I am. I wish I wasn't this way. Or I want to be different. My goal is to be different. Well, how do I be different? I do something different right now, today. I want my house to be different than this. That's going to take consistency. That's not actually a goal, right? Those are not actually doable things. The doable thing is I'm going to go to my front door and I'm going to start throwing away trash and I'm going to move easy stuff to its already established home, like things that are out of place. I'm going to do that right now. And then when I do that, my house is different. My house is different. It may not be done. It's not going to be done, but it's going to be different because of what I did for this moment right now. I know this is feeling a little woo-woo and abstract, and then as I feel successful at having done this thing right now, having done 5 minutes, I can do 5 minutes right now. As I do that, as I see the impact, as I go, wow, that made a big difference, that success makes me feel different about my house and is the first step toward consistency, right? And so that success that I have felt is going to inspire me, encourage me, push me to do another 5 minutes, either later today or tomorrow. Well, now that I've done it twice in a row, I am so much further, toward consistency than I was before I had done anything and I was just obsessed with this idea of consistency. And then once I see, oh, wow, I was able to do that 2 days in a row and I can see a difference in my house with a total of 10 minutes, I start to think differently about 5 minutes. And as I think differently about 5 minutes, then on the third day, I'm more likely to say out loud, because that's how I roll, but also to think and do another 5 minutes. And the more I inspire myself by feeling successful, seeing that I have been successful, seeing the benefit of the work that I put in, the more likely I am to do it again. And with every time that I do it again, I am achieving consistency, but I don't achieve it until I do the first 5 minutes. So what is it that you could do right now that you go, you know what, even if I'm not consistent, even if I don't end up changing everything about my house, even if this isn't the first step toward my new future, even if that is not what's going on here, I will be better off for these 5 minutes. My house will be better off for the 5 minutes that I'm going to spend doing this. So what could you do in 5 minutes? Well, I mean, the best way that I like to use 5 minutes is just to start in my most visible areas, set a timer for 5 minutes and pick things up and put them away, like all the way, not gather a bunch of things into my hands and then at the end of 5 minutes, I have to go put it away. No, I mean, like really, truly putting things in their actual home in that 5 minutes. Now, a lot of times things are 3 feet away from where they're supposed to be. Whatever. We're not going to worry about why, but I'm going to do that today. And this room, this space is going to be 5 minutes better than it was before. And if I didn't do that 5 minutes, it's not just going to be 5 minutes worse. It's going to be that much more overwhelming because it's got more stuff in it tomorrow. I will have that much less faith that 5 minutes could actually make an impact because there's more stuff that is collected. And I haven't done anything to move me and to inspire myself to keep going. Make sense? Okay. So I was going to tell y'all a story about my garden. You excited to hear about my garden? So I shared about my gardening journey back in, I don't know, it's probably April or so. And I will just give you the spoiler that I have enjoyed the whole gardening experience. We have eaten vegetables from our garden, nowhere near as many as I thought we would, but it's been an experience. And in so many ways, in that podcast that I did back in April-ish, I think, I talked about a lot of the ways that gardening is like decluttering, right? Like it's amazing how many comparisons there are to just the way life works to decluttering, right? So, little bit by little bit every single day, like we're talking about here, is the weeds get out of control. But if I just do something, if I just do the easiest stuff first, the most obvious weeds first, all those types of things are so similar to decluttering. And consistency is key, right? And yet, what happens when you go on vacation for 10 days and you come back, and consistency has gone out the window, right? Like, those 10 days, it was shocking how many weeds showed up. Y'all, how in the world do weeds grow so fast? It's like they grow like weeds. Oh, get it. Anyway, but really though, it was shocking how out of control it got in those 10 days that we were gone. So we come back and now it's overwhelming. And so it feels like consistency is out the window, right? Like, oh my word, I have to start completely again. But in reality, now, if you happen to be one of my neighbors, and so you're listening to this thinking I'm about to say that I got it all back under control, and you're like, she did not. I've seen that garden. She didn't. Y'all, we're going to talk kind of how I managed, but I never fully got it back under control because I kind of gave up on certain parts of it. But I focused in and I was like, okay, I'm too overwhelmed here, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something. And by doing something, that helped me change my perspective, helped me go, okay, well then I can handle this amount of stuff. So here's the story of the garden. It was going great. I was doing great. I was enjoying it. I knew it was going to be a challenge when the heat hit in Texas. Like, Texas is no joke when it comes to the heat, and this summer has been worse than a lot of other summers have been. So it's been crazy. The heat has. And we went on vacation at the very beginning of the summer for 10 days. And so by the time we came back was when the heat was starting to hit and all the weeds had started to go crazy. And the neighbor's cows had gotten into my garden while we were gone, and they had eaten all of my green beans, I think. So here's the thing. I have never actually seen a green bean grow in my garden. I thought that they should have grown long before we went on vacation, that like according to my little planting chart of when they're supposed to actually produce food on them, I thought they would grow, but there were no green beans. They were beautiful. They were lovely and leafy and green and lush, and they looked beautiful, but not a single green bean. And so I was like, oh my goodness, we're going to leave and the green beans are going to grow. I hope it's going to be okay. So I had some friends who were going to be watering my garden, and they we're going to, I told them, if you see any, you're allowed to pick them, whatever, just take them for yourself because I don't want them to go bad. Well, I got home, and the next morning we went out to the garden, and as we were going out there, the neighbor was heading over to be like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's fine. I feel like this is part of living in the country, right? And it's not like the cows the cows graze on our land, like they come on our land. And so it was just that I didn't have the fence done well enough. And so the cows got in there and they ate up all my green beans. And I was like, I know this is not really about consistency. I'm just telling my story. But I was like, did green beans grow? And then they ate them, or did green beans never grow? Like, I have no idea. Like, I have no way of knowing because my friend didn't remember. They didn't notice. And so I'm just like, oh my word, I have no idea. And then they kind of grew back and they got pretty decent, but I never saw a single green bean. So a lot of discouragement happened, right? Like, it didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go. Like, green beans was one of those things where I had picked out the pot that I was going to cook them in. And I had thought about how my grandma cooked her green beans and how I was going to do it like that. And I was all excited. I was like, this is going to be so great. And I never saw a single green bean. So it's very discouraging, right? So it's like, what's the point of it being consistent when no green beans grow? Or maybe they grew and the cows ate them. I don't know. Then there's the okra. Okay, so I came back from vacation. Things were out of control. According to what I was reading, zucchini was about to be done anyway. Our zucchini never did great. I think we had probably 12 plants. And I think 2 of them grew zucchini, and we maybe got 6 or 7 zucchini or whatever. So like, that's all we got from that. But y'all know my obsession with okra. So I was like, I am going to focus in on what I can do. Focus in on one section of my garden. What is the main thing that I care about? It's the okra. So I decided the whole overwhelming mess is too much for me. All the weeds. If I focus on how much there is to do, I won't do anything. So instead I said, I'm going to focus on the okra, and I'm going to weed in the okra area, and I'm going to hoe in the okra area. Like, that is the goal. And I made my goal so much smaller so that I could do it today instead of, I've got to get the garden under control. Okay, I've got to, I gave up on being consistent, but now I've got to catch up. That whole catching up myth is a huge reason why so many of us have failed at this idea of consistency before, because we might be consistent for a while and then we let it go and we think, well, now I have to catch up from what I've done before. And then the catching up is too overwhelming. And so we just don't. But instead, it's okay, then start again. Let's say I did 5 minutes every day for 2 weeks. And I thought, wow, that really impacted my house. And then it never occurred to me to do 5 minutes for the next 2 weeks. And my house got completely out of control again. My tendency is to think, oh my goodness, I've got to catch up to where I was at the end of when I stopped being consistent and then try to be consistent again. But that's too overwhelming, so I don't do anything. When in reality, I need to go back and say, okay, well, what's the first thing to do to be consistent? Do a little something today. That's what I can do. Okay. So, on the okra, along with this, it kind of makes me think about the value of finishing small things completely instead of sometimes with consistency, because I have this huge goal in my mind. I'm like, well, I'm going to do a little bit here and a little bit there, a little bit here, and maybe I'm moving toward the overall goal. When in reality, I actually move a lot farther along if I will do small things, but finish them completely. Like, finish small things completely. So even if that's finish a 5 minutes, that's fine. But like, for what I'm talking about here, I know I feel like I'm rambling. So with the okra, I had big ideas. Y'all, I bought 40 pounds of flour. I had envisioned, did I tell y'all last week or the week before that we got a pool? Anyway, so I had envisioned, because my husband has a catfish fryer that he had out on our back patio. And I was like, one day in the summer, I'm going to have so much okra, y'all, that I am going to invite all my friends over who think they don't like okra, but I'm going to prove to them that it's amazing. And I'm going to say, everybody come over and swim while I fry up okra. And so I had bought so much flour, because you use a lot of flour when you fry okra the way that I do. And I was like, I'm going to be ready. I just want to be ready. I'm so excited. I had calculated that I think I had 13 plants that came up. And I had calculated how many pounds the internet said one okra plant is going to produce. And I was like, oh my goodness, I may have like 150 pounds of okra. I never did. But because I had that mindset, what I would do is I would pick the okra as it came up, and then I would try to save it. Even though my son had been doing similar things with other stuff, and it had been driving me crazy, because I was like, honey, you can't save vegetables. You got to eat them. But here I was doing it because even though I knew better, I had this going, but I want to do a huge okra fry. That's what I want to do. That's my big fancy goal that's in my brain. Meanwhile, the ones that I got would dry up and become gross. And so I finally gave up, probably, I don't know, mid-July. And I was like, this isn't working. Having this huge goal that I'm like, everything is only focused on this huge, huge goal of having this big fancy okra party. I don't know that you can say fancy okra party in the same sentence, but whatever. That goal is actually stopping me from doing anything. Like, our okra, my precious, beloved, longed after okra, was going to waste. And that was a horrible feeling. And mid-July, I was like, I'm just gonna cook what I've got. And it was just enough for our family to just have a fairly decent size vegetable serving, with dinner. Now, I will say part of the problem now is that my kids, it used to just be my husband and I and one kid who liked okra. The other two were like, oh, okra is disgusting. And then the other two go and try my fried okra and they were like, oh, well, actually, this is amazing. It comes straight from the garden and straight from the grease. It's amazing. Anyway, so it doesn't go nearly as far as it used to before they liked okra, but whatever. Anyway, but I was wasting all of it because I was obsessed with this future huge goal. That's what I was thinking about. And so I was trying to save for that big goal. Meanwhile, I had so much okra go to waste. So instead, I still never got very much okra because it's just been a really hot summer and I probably did something wrong. But I think I've fried okra small batches, 3, and hopefully there'll be one more time. Okay. It's not what I wanted it to be. And yet I have thoroughly enjoyed those 3 times. Those 3 times I have experienced my okra. I have lived my dream, even though it doesn't look like what I thought it was going to be. But you know what it's so much better than? It's so much better than throwing away dried up okra that sat too long while I was waiting to get more. So how does that work with consistency? Well, I thought I was working toward this end goal, but in reality, the way that I actually benefited from the having done the work and grown the okra was by going ahead and frying it right now. Eat it right now. And then I enjoy it. If I save it, I end up getting overwhelmed and wasting it. Okay. I know it's a little bit of a stretch to do the okra thing, but I wanted to tell the okra story. So anyway, one more thing I was going to say. Oh, this was a book I was reading. I'm trying to remember what book it was. But I think she was talking about a story that her grandfather had told her. I believe it was I want to say Chinese proverb, except it feels like it's a story rather than a proverb because a proverb would be, quicker. But it was the story of a man who had a garden. It's a good analogy here, right? Who had a garden and he only had 1 teacup to water it. And where he was getting the water was far away. Okay. And so he was running himself completely ragged, running back and forth, trying to water his garden with only that 1 teacup. And finally he realized, I can't do this. I can't do the big thing that I envisioned. Instead, I'm going to focus all my effort and energy on this one plant. So I'm letting go of the rest of the garden. This is kind of how I did with mine. I just let go of things and I focus my energy on an okra. I said, I'm going to let go of the rest of the garden and I'm going to focus on this one thing because with what I have to give, I can make a difference. I can do what I need to do with this one single plant. That's where I can be successful. But if I'm focused on the overall thing, then that's too much and I'm overwhelmed before I get started and I never get started. Okay. So again, a bit of a stretch, but it's the same overall concept of having this big goal idea in my head. And yes, that's the goal, right? Like, of course that's a goal. Nobody's saying that's not a good goal, except when that goal is too daunting, then it keeps me from doing anything. Okay. And sometimes this idea of consistency is too daunting, either because of how long I'm going to have to be consistent to actually get to the goal that I have in my head as the ideal way that I want my house to look, or whether it's because I've never been consistent before, what makes me think I can do this time. But in reality, I do move toward being consistent by just doing the small right now thing. Okay. I hope that was helpful. I know this one is a little bit shorter than sometimes, but I did want to just remind you again, don't forget about going to aslobcomesclean.com/HQ. I'll have the link in the show notes as well to sign up to make sure that you can go to my session while it is free. My session, again, is Busting Through Your Best Excuses. And don't forget that Take Your House Back is on sale right now. So you're going to want to go grab it. All right. I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.